Now, last night, our worst fears were confirmed. While Christmas and New Year have not quite been cancelled, I think I can say with a degree of confidence they've been severely curtailed. Many of us are angry, we're frustrated, we're at the end of our tether, and the new rules, I think, mean that we need to start thinking differently about what lies ahead. How do we do that? Graeme Codrington is a local author, he's a futurist, he's a strategy consultant, and I've long admired his clear thinking and his ideas. He's with me now on Tuesday lunchtime. Graeme, good afternoon to you. First up, and very quickly, did the President get it right last night?
Jeremy, I think in general he did. I think we can criticise the government over the last few months for a number of small regulations that maybe they didn't quite get right. But I think in general, at a strategic level, the government's had the right strategy. We've needed to flatten the curve, and I think that is the language we were using 10 months ago, 9 months ago, and I think it's still the language again. The decisions made about taverns and wine farms and beaches and so on, I think are more about our healthcare capacity and the surge of cases rather than those particular individual regulations. So in general, I think the government's heading in the right direction with this.
We all know, of course, Graeme, that strategy is a living thing, that it isn't something that is set in stone. So as someone who thinks about what's to come, how do we need to start thinking about 2021, both as individuals, but also perhaps as companies, as organisations?
Well, I think that one of the biggest problems is that today was supposed to be the day that our working year ended. Not for everybody, of course, but it's the typical end of the working year just before our public holiday tomorrow. And I think a lot of people think that COVID has got a calendar and that, you know, tomorrow we can go on holiday, reset, come back in the new year and start afresh. Start a new year as if 2020 can just be put behind us. And while we probably do need to try and do that physically and psychologically, mentally ourselves, COVID isn't going away. And part of what we need to do is have a realistic assessment of where we are with COVID. If we look at history, we've had 100 years of experience of coronavirus pandemics, and every single one of those, from the Spanish flu 100 years ago through the Asian and Hong Kong flus and SARS and MERS, they've all gone through 3 waves over 2 years. And there's no exception to that statement. So we shouldn't have been expecting a 1-year resolution. We've got to be thinking COVID's with us well into 2021. Then you add vaccines into it. Even the countries that have started vaccinating in the last few days are warning their citizens that it will take at least 9 months for the vaccinations to take effect, for everybody, enough people to get vaccinated. And of course, we don't know when we're going to even start, let alone how long it will take us to get the herd immunity that vaccination brings. So once again, you've got to be thinking that most of 2021 is going to continue to be disrupted. And so I think what the government's tried to do, the President tried to do last night, is to remind us once again that this is still in our hands, that we need to try and do as much as we can to live our lives, meet our families, send our kids to school, do the work that's there to be done. But we have to accept that COVID is still in the system, and we have to take that seriously. It is an infectious disease that's doing a lot of damage.
Perhaps some of those parents that foolishly sent their children to rage parties might have taken that sage advice. Graeme Codrington, scenario planner, futurist, we'll talk to you again. Appreciate you joining us today. This is Lunchtime on eNCA.